my friends. I'm Brenda L. Balding. The L stands for Love's Inner Voice, and that's what we are here to talk about. Today, we have Jill Lublin, and I'll introduce her later, and we're going to talk about the power of kindness in publicity. Let's start out with our heart breathing. For those of you that are new, we breathe in to the count of 3 or 4. Imagine it going through your heart, down into your lungs, down to your core. Notice how your body calms down when you do this. And we'll do 3 or 4 to some beautiful music. Let's take a nice heart breath in. Out. Breathe in. When faced with challenges, the resilience of kindness can turn setbacks into stepping stones, rewriting the narrative of struggle into a tale of triumph. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. The reading that I read was from Jill Lublin's Kindness Journal. And she has a kindness circle once a month, and she can talk about that later. You know, Love's Inner Voice, it's about listening to our intuition. It's about figuring out if we're in stress, if we're in fear, where we are, and listening to how and where we want to be and how we can support ourselves with self-care in moving through whatever we're feeling. Kindness can help with that, as Jill said in this quote that I read in her journal, which is beautiful, and we'll look at that later. I have a show coming up about moving through trauma or stress, moving into joy through creativity. So let's hear a little bit about that, and then we'll introduce Joy. Hello, my friends. Brenda L. Balding here. The L stands for Love's Inner Voice, my TV show on I Have Today TV network, on the E360 network. Please join me at 4 p.m. on Thursdays Pacific time. I have a guest coming up, Constance Chapman. And we're going to be talking about how to free your joy through creativity. So we're going to be talking about how we hide our joy or how it's hidden from us. And we get to doodle. So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you. Continue to have an amazing day. Bye for now. So, Jill Lublin, lovely lady that I've had a pleasure to work with for for most of this year. She has 25 plus years as a media magnet. She is a world-renowned publicity expert, international speaker, and 4 times best-selling author. Jill has made thousands of stage appearances alongside celebrities such as Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Jack Canfield, to name a few. She has worked with over 100,000 clients, implementing her signature formula for getting media attention, creating next-level visibility, in the marketplace, the results in boosted sales. These led to profit-generating formulas are included in her signature program, the Media Mastery Intensive, and her monthly kindness circles. Please welcome Jill Lublin. So glad to see you, Jill. Such a blessing.
So glad to be here with you.
Tell us a little bit more about public relations and how that fits in general audience life.
Well, you know, the thing about public relations is that the truth is it's all public relations, right? When you walk out your door, guess what you're doing? Whether, whatever business you're in, whatever you're doing out there in life, whatever your place of love that you're in, the reality is you're still doing public relations, and people are deciding about you and making their judgments, and whether it's a friendship or a business relationship or whatever it is, the reality is it's all public relations.
That's an interesting perspective that I hadn't thought about before until I started working with you. And it really is about the message that we're putting out there when we walk out our door. And how do people decide what that message is really going to be? And what is it that they need to? Is it to do with their dress or their attitude or their tone of voice? Or is it all of it?
So it is all of it, Some of it is just body language. Some of it is, are you interested in actually what people are saying? Are you present with them when you meet people and say hello or smile at them, even as you pass them on the street and look them in the eye? Now, I'm not saying to look back. I say hello to a lot of people who never talk back or say anything back. Yep. That's okay. Maybe they're just too engaged in their own thoughts or their own concerns, but at least I know that I did something, that I reached out. And for me, that, conscious act of kindness, as I like to call it, is what matters most.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You talk about an expert. And, we all have many, many things in our life that we've experienced that we can speak to. How do you show that you're an expert in whatever arena you want to?
So part of being an expert is claiming it, number one. Like, you just got to claim it. And sometimes, I've seen with people I work with, I'm sure we can all relate to this, there might be a little bit of fear about claiming that, or imposter syndrome, or gosh, can I really do that? Can I claim that? Yes, you can, number one. If you feel it in your heart, if you know it of who you are, there might be someone better at you or that's louder about it or whatever it is, right? But that doesn't matter. I work a lot with introverts or people who sometimes have that fear of getting out and putting themselves out there. It's not the first thing that people reward in our society for whatever reason. And yet, the truth is, if you're not doing that, then who will? Right? And I'd love to say people just find you organically, but they don't. Public relations, you having this TV show, me being on it, is what puts us both in front of a new whole audience and, enables those of you watching to connect to us, to be hopefully improved and enhanced by the messages here that Brenda brings you and that I bring you today. That's what we want for you. And that's the way we're connecting through media.
That is so true. And, it truly is about attitude and owning your own place in the world. Because, yeah. So is there a secret formula?
Oh, of course there's a secret formula. And I won't even have to hurt you if I tell you, because it's something that I think is really important that each of you know, and that is it's all about your message, right? And so I want to give you what I call my secret sauce for creating a formula that's quick and easy and effective, and that is the what is the problem today? Like that's what you have to put out there. It's not just like what I call it beat the chest publicity. It's not just the I do this and I do that. I want you to reframe whatever you're saying into you language and speak to you, the people out there who care and are listening, for what it is that, well, what do you know, what should they care about what you do? And I think that's an important distinction for a lot of people, instead of just going, well, here's what I do and da 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 da. It's kind of like people don't get why that's important to them. And I think that's a key to success that will help a lot of you to start, number one, using you language, number two, talking in the problem today kind of language, and then giving people real solutions. That's the other part of the formula. Like, tell them what to do. It's kind of fun. And try it, and practice in front of a mirror and smile when you say it and be enthusiastic about your own message.
Yes. So you mentioned, I just was in a class with you, and you mentioned the ooh ah factor, and I'm wondering what that is.
Ooh, I love the ooh ah factor. Number one, it's just fun to say, right? It's easy to
Yes,
giggle
it
and
is. It
laugh.
makes you laugh.
Exactly. Exactly. It makes you laugh. It makes you stop. It makes you go, have some fun, right? And it's called a soundbite. And so the ooh ah factor is about using everything you've got. And that's about who you are as a person. It could be your ethnicity. It could be your religion. It could be a certain holiday. Like one of my clients, for instance, she has a son who's autistic. So National Autism Month will be one of the holidays that she talks about and goes into, and that's appropriate. Another one of my clients, she's a vet, and of course, Veterans Day, which we happen
Right.
to be recording on, right? So the fun part is, like, what can you use that's everything you've got?
Okay. Everything I've got. One of the things that I've noticed from people that I've talked to, and maybe many people in the audience, is the question, is what I have good enough?
Mm.
And how do we get past that? That's one of the things that I like to bring up in my show, because asking the tough questions, yes, we're all good enough, but how do we help people through believing that? Do you have any
Mm.
thoughts about that?
I've dealt with this with lots of people. Somewhat imposter syndrome, somewhat, am I worthy? Am I good enough? Do I
Mm-hmm.
deserve it? And by the way, I have these too. Just saying, I had to
Me too.
overcome. Yes,
Yeah.
I had to overcome all of this myself. I think it's a human condition to a certain extent. It's part of maybe our culture and entrainment to a certain extent, which is why I feel so strong. Like, I want to wave that flag called you are good enough, and you are knowledgeable, and you are an expert. And so then the point is that we find that pinnacle of what are you an expert in, right? And shine the light on that. And then maybe we switch, because some months, like if you were a veteran, you might be talking on Veterans Day about that, right? If you have that son who's autistic, you'll talk on National Autism Month about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Christian woman I work with, we talk about that to Christian audiences, to Christian women's audiences, right? And that's appropriate, even though she does business coaching and consulting, totally different, right, than what
Right.
she's being featured at that in there. So I just say, part of it is we step up into whatever you can do first. And, that may be a simple interview locally in a small newspaper, for instance, where you're not seen on camera. I had a real estate woman, amazing woman, talented and beautiful and articulate and successful at real estate. She would never come on camera with me. I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had to work through this and find her place where she could feel like she could be seen, interestingly enough. And,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I will recommend my people to people who can support with being seen and that certain mindset about being willing to be seen. And that's important too.
That's so interesting that you said willing, because we've talked about willingness before on this show, and it really is about being willing to show up in whatever way is appropriate in the moment, because willingness is about now. It's not about yesterday, and it's not about tomorrow. It really is about right now.
As they
And
say, that's all the moments we have, right now.
yeah, that's all the moments that we have. And it's such a blessing to be able to acknowledge what I'm willing to do and where I'm willing to stand up and let my light shine, or let your light shine. Look at, where are you willing to stand up and let your light shine in a safe, caring, kind way. And not just you, Jill, the audience, because that's what we have. And that's really all we have, is who we are, because we are unique. There's no two of us alike, even twins or triplets.
I love
We're,
that.
I know, we're all unique individuals.
Yeah.
And isn't that grand? There's no
It's a
two
beautiful
alike.
thing. You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
I remember somebody taught me one time about relationships, and isn't it wonderful that the other person isn't you, right?
Yeah.
Isn't you? Because then we can find ways to support and be with each other, to love one another, to, be in peace and different and harmony, hopefully, but, find commonalities and different ways to relate to each other, even if you're very different. Listen, P.S. I'm in a women's group in my neighborhood. I won't say exactly where it is, but let me just say the women and I, we are very different, honestly, politically, just from a interest side of life, age wise often. And all of
Mhm.
that is great. I get to listen to a whole new perspective. And then I'm in a book club, and one of the women, she's 84. I love hearing her perspective and, her cut on life. I just think, life is diverse. Let's enjoy the diversity together.
That's really beautiful, because if we didn't have diversity, number one, it would be very boring, in my brain's opinion. And the other thing is, there would be nothing for me or any of us to learn, and
Good point.
nothing for us to ask questions about, or to be curious about, or to be creative about.
Yes.
It would just be robot city,
Yes.
which
Yes.
which is a scary thought to me.
Yeah.
But I noticed, in one of the things that you mentioned in the past, not here, ROI on publicity. What does that mean?
Well, when you were looking at return on investment, right? That's what it stands for. ROI stands for return on investment. And in publicity, let me just say, I think it is so key to number one, be seen and be heard, yes, because it attracts business, it attracts referrals, publicity, attracts and elevates your status as an expert, and so that people see you as an expert because it's earned media, right? And people, there's a perception when you are featured in media, it's powerful. You
Mm-hmm.
become the trusted source, and therein lies the difference. So what I know, having worked with thousands of people in the area of publicity, is it does drive prospects, drives clients, drives traffic to your website, your social media, gets you seen, heard, and paid, as I like to say. And you know creates that credibility and visibility that, well, advertising just wouldn't buy it, and social media doesn't give it to you because it's powerful and impactful. And then people go, well, I've heard of you somewhere. I've heard of you somewhere. And that's the kind of thing we want. I'll tell you a funny story. I was just on Fox News for The Profit of Kindness. That's my latest book. And one of the things that happened, this was so fun, is that as I got back in my car after the 4-minute interview, very fast, my cousin texted me. She goes, oh my gosh, I just saw you on Channel 2. I didn't know you were going to be there. That is so great. Congratulations. And, it's that kind of, I've heard of you somewhere, I saw you somewhere. It just completely puts you in another bracket. From a client in Minneapolis who got one line in the Minneapolis Star Tribune, one line. She's a consultant. She walks into an engagement, actually an interview to be hired as a consultant. And he said to her, the man who's going to interview her, he said, listen, I Googled you and I see that you've been featured in the Minneapolis Star Tribune, because of course these things start occurring everywhere, don't they? And that people
Mm-hmm.
see you, hear you, and connect to you. And that elevates your star, your status, your opportunities for more. And to me, that's good news.
So you talk about a really strong message. How do you figure out, and it needs to be succinct and
Yes.
focused, how do you create and figure out what the strongest message you can have in the moment? Because the most you have is probably 30 seconds to really get people's attention, right?
Yeah, it's fast, honestly. Like I just said, my Fox News interview was 4 minutes, and that's
Yeah,
pretty standard on
yeah,
major
it
television.
is.
Very fast. Most podcasts under 20 minutes now because, that's kind of normal. So I think what you've got to focus on is the most important parts of your message, like zoom in, be focused, get to the point, make it concise, be precise, and be easy to understand. So, one of the things I get hired a lot for is to make people's messages simpler, because some people's messages are, well, all over the place and spoken in a way that nobody can understand. So, I really have a passion and, frankly, a talent for helping people get to the heart of that message and then say what you need to say in ways that are simple, because honestly, most people are convoluting their message. It's too much. It's too much fact and too much detail. And the truth is, Brendan, these days, people cannot hold as much detail and fact, and they just want bullet points. They want to get to the point. They want to understand the bottom line. And, the people who love all the detail and the more linear thinkers and the more, kinds of folks who love that kind of level of detail, they will read, but give them the choice to do that. And those other people who, and especially with time being more of a commodity than ever right now, meaning people's time is almost more valuable than money. It's interesting. That's what I've seen. And so with that, you got to, you know, be thoughtful of that. And especially with media, get to the point, because nobody has a lot of time to wait for you to get to the point. Let me just say that.
Well, and time costs money when you're talking media, television, that kind of thing.
Right.
The power of kindness in publicity. What does that look like to you? I mean, you can talk about your book, your journal. I love the journal. I've
Oh,
had a few of them.
thank you.
So,
Well, in my book, The Profit of Kindness, one of the things we did was really interview different people. I mean, I'm talking small and large businesses, one people business, one person business, and then, bigger companies. And there were a few things that stood out to me. One, kind companies get more publicity. Kind people get more publicity and more clients. That was consistent. Number two, that people were happier who are kind. And so one of the things we did was put together what I call return on kindness principles. And one of them is things like patience, like being patient with people. Oh my gosh, in today's world, that means a lot. And flexibility, really. Like, I notice people are run late for meetings sometimes, or have to cancel more quickly because for whatever reason. It's just being flexible is really an important key to kindness now. And in today's world, actually mandatory, in my opinion, because frankly, people need that opportunity to flow a little more than we ever have. I think COVID kind of sealed that for us, meaning, that people have different things they're doing now simultaneously while showing up on Zoom and different things. You just got to give people a little more, what would I call it? Opportunity to do what they need to do. Let me just say it like that. And then what I also really want to underline here is, people talk about random acts of kindness, and I think that is great. Yes, and can we create conscious acts of kindness too, please? Like, really, I want to recommend to you, I invite all of you to practice a conscious act of kindness every single day. One. Now, you can be doing that, I promise. Smile at a person who's walking toward you. That's an act of kindness. Hold the door open for a woman and her child, or any person for that matter. Go bring something to your neighbor, some food or a flower, or just go say hi. Do you know your neighbor? Honestly, I mean, really, these are
yeah.
wonderful things, simple things. Let that person who's in such a hurry in their vehicle go in front of you and just wave at them. Don't flip them off, wave at them. So yeah, exactly. Have a good time. I'll see you at the next light, which, by the way, I always laugh because I don't know about you, but every person I've let in, I end up seeing them at the next light. I mean, they're not that much ahead of me. That's what's so funny
Right.
about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, if they feel they're making more progress, then good. Let them be happy, bring them joy, bless them, pay for someone's beverage in back of you in a line. And I even like 3 people back so nobody knows who did it. And all of a sudden they get to the front and it's like, oh, whatever you like, it's paid for. What? That kind of thing. I mean, that's fun. Surprise people with whatever acts of kindness just come from your heart, simple and easy, particularly one conscious act of kindness every single day. Imagine the world, Brenda, if we all did that.
Oh, I have a good imagination because you really showed the difference between a random act of kindness and a conscious act of kindness. And writing a note to your neighbor or writing a note to someone who's in the hospital and, paying for a stamp and sending it. Because
Right.
people, I find, like getting letters in the mail. Because
Right.
most
Because
of
none
the
of us
stuff
get it
they,
anymore.
Yeah, most of the stuff they get in the mail is ads and junk. So to get a letter, even if it's just 3 sentences and
Right.
a little heart or a little, I really appreciate you in my life kind of thing.
Well, and let me just, okay, here's a great example. You mentioned I run kindness circles, and yes, we'll invite
Mm-hmm.
people to it. But a woman in my kindness circle sends me this. Is this fun or what? It's a roll of smiley faces.
How fun
And
is that?
they're smiley face stickers. Is that a precious? So she
That's
sends me this.
precious.
It is precious. And, because I'm a best-selling author and media magnet, people often ask me for endorsements and testimonials. And I love doing that because that supports others. To me, that's a
Right.
conscious act of kindness. So guess what? I write the testimonial, I mail it, and then I put this little sticker on it. Oh,
That's
this way.
so
And
fun.
isn't that fun? And so I show up at an event that somebody had actually requested of me to do this. And the person said to me, I opened your letter with that smiley sticker on it. And I love that. And it made my day. I was feeling a little blue that day. And I just had to smile because it was so fun and sweet. And you wrote a little handwritten piece under it. And it really helped make my day. That's the key, right?
Yep.
And so that's the kind of thing that keeps spurring on other acts of kindness. Or maybe your act of kindness does nothing except land in that person's heart and lightens their spirit for a
Yep.
minute or a second or a moment or not. Or maybe they think
Yeah.
later, oh, that nice woman smiled at me, and maybe they didn't smile back, but all right, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, the point is you do this because it's from you.
Yeah. And it's from the heart. When it's
Yes,
when it's consciously done, there isn't any selfishness in it. There isn't any, at least that's what I find when I do something like let somebody move in front of me in the checkout line because they only have 2 items and I have 10. Now go ahead. Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I don't need anything. I don't need them to notice me or anything. It's just, why not?
exactly. And
Why
why not?
not?
Simple,
Yeah,
easy things that really, most of this requires really hardly any effort and, frankly, not much money or no money. It's like
right.
there is no excuse for a lack of kindness. It presents itself all the time. And sometimes it's really just in the, I remember in my chapter on patience when I wrote The Prophet of Kindness and the chapter on patience, I called the utility company and I was on hold for an hour, Brenda. And
Oh
the
my
woman came
goodness.
on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good thing I'm good at multitasking. The woman came on and she said, thank you for your patience. And I thought to myself, who said I was patient? I mean, really, and I think I actually said it out loud to her and we laughed and it was fine. I didn't make her wrong. I didn't say, oh my God, because I know she had nothing to do with the hour I waited on the phone. Except,
Right.
I could have had a moment and made her wrong. I mean, I've been in that place before where I've been frustrated and then acting kindly in that moment is even more of a challenge. And
Yes, it is.
oh yes. And even in that moment when I had been waiting for an hour and feeling impatient, I challenged myself to act kindness with her.
And that's willingness. Willing to look at the situation and to choose how you're going to respond, and you're going to respond with kindness rather than finger pointing, because
Yeah,
that's the other thing. And we don't know what happened at the other end.
that's right.
We have no idea what happened at the other end. I love the smiley face. I have be kind little flowers stickers that I put on because, and it, for me, it's not about the person getting it. It's about the mail carriers and all the people that might see it
Right.
when they deal with the letter. Oh, because I thought, oh, well, this person is already kind. She doesn't really need the be kind sticker, but I love the flower, so why not?
Yes.
And I realized that there's a whole lot of people that are going to be handling that, and somebody may need to see that be kind flower
Yes,
on the
exactly.
envelope.
As a reminder. And if it
Yeah.
makes them smile or, just be silly or whatever it is, it's all good. What's important is that moment of that connection for whatever it means. And it doesn't have to, have that uproarious underlying meaning. It's a moment of connection. Whatever it does for anyone is perfect.
Yay. So I understand that you have a great offer to work with you. Would you like to tell us about that? And I know that you have a free gift, and Yana can post that information as well. So have at it, Jill.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what I'd love to do is just particularly focus on the free gift, which is the opportunity for you to have an action guide filled with great publicity tips that'll take you to the next step in your business and in your life. And also, it's an invitation in that free gift to come on a publicity masterclass with me. So imagine this, more great tips and the ability to be live with me on Zoom. Everything's on Zoom, to ask questions for anything you need. And how you get that, per on the screen, is publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift. And I want to invite all of you to the kindness circle. So maybe you can put this on the screen too. It's jilllublin.com/kindness circles. And I'd love to have you there. jilllublin.com/kindness circles, completely free. Both things are free. And it's the opportunity to interact, to connect in kindness, and to be together in a way that changes the world, my friends, because you change the world with your message, and your message matters.
Yes. And I can speak to the truth of that because I go to the kindness circle, and I also go to weekly meetings with, or every other week meetings with Jill. And I can speak to both of that, how powerful that can be. And I get to meet some new and interesting people at both meetings. And I learned something about a different way and a different perspective, a different facet of how I can show up in the world in a kind, compassionate, loving way and still honor who I am
Yeah.
and be in self-care at the same
Yeah.
time. Because when I'm walking in that, I'm at a high energy level, which is good for self-care.
Yes,
It helps with
absolutely.
stress, right?
Yes. 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 And being kind to oneself is key,
Yeah.
Tonight I'll be kind to myself, and I'll be taking a lovely bath and just relaxing. That's a beautiful, kind thing, right? In the morning, I'm careful about scheduling too much because I have a morning routine and prayer and meditation and different things, hanging out with my animals that I love to do, that nourishes me so I can nourish others.
That's so beautiful. And it really is important that we nourish ourselves not with just food, with self reflection, with self love, with kindness. I have an infrared sauna that I sit in for 5 or 10 minutes before I go to bed, as well as when I wake up most days, because it helps relax my body and I can talk to the divine or think about the day or, just honor who I am in the moment.
Yes.
The 75 plus year young that my body is.
Yes. Well, that's what keeps you looking so young and beautiful, Brenda. Working.
Thank you. And it's fun too, or sometimes I'll dance around with my maracas because we need
Yes.
to move too.
Yes.
So whatever works for you, what a gift. Thank you so much, Jill. Do you have any last words for our audience before we say goodbye?
I just want to remind you on the banner, it's jilllublin.com/kindness circles. It's plural, just for all of you to know that. So definitely invite you to that. And, to remember the conscious act of kindness and the continuum of the power of that, the ripple effect of you showing up in your great glory, in your message, in your light, at whatever level you are comfortable with is perfect. It's about baby steps and small steps to success that support you in getting your message out and what matters in your heart to others, and then having the ability to impact them. That's what we're talking about. All of it is in publicity. All of it is helped with kindness. And Brenda, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you today and all of you who are watching.
It was a true pleasure. And I so appreciate you, Jill, in my life, and talking about patience and flexibility and, willingness of just showing up and what that looks like. It might be a little tiring sometimes. And when we're walking in willingness and patience and flexibility, our energy is so much higher and we're going to experience less stress and we're going to be able to smile.
Yes.
Isn't
Yes.
that a gift? Thank you so
All
much,
of it.
Jill. Bless you. Be well.
Thank you.
Take good care. Oh my, wasn't that wonderful? The power of kindness in publicity. And we are all in publicity when we walk out the door. I hadn't really thought of that before. And we are. It's how we show up. When we walk out the door, we're making it public. Our feelings, are we walking around like this, or are we walking around with a smile, not Miss Pollyanna? Our willingness and our oneness to show up as our unique individual presence. And what a joy that is. And it feels kind of crummy when I don't show up that way. What is it for you? So I encourage you to find ways to be consciously kind at least once a day, as Jill recommended. What does that conscious kindness look like? Not to get anything back, not to get a good on you or anything like that. To do it and then notice how you feel. Because that's the inner voice that we're talking about here. Love's inner voice. And kindness is a piece of that. Self-care is a piece of that. Thank you so much for being here. Blessings to all of you. Thank you. Be well. See you next time.